Amazing.
And welcome to episode 220 of the award-winning most must-see show to ever hit the Bedford TV airwaves, or any airwaves for that matter, north, south, east, west, backwards, frontwards, diagonal, sideways, any which way you look at it, all around the world, the Wrestling Kennection. I am your connection to the wrestling world, the pontiff, the pro wrestling populace, the savant god of the squared circle, the perfect Ken, Mr. Ken Hill, delivering all the news to you in professional wrestling today. Alongside me, as always,
the consumer of wrestling knowledge, the prizefighter of the Wrestling Connection, the dragon with the gold, the breakers of Kens. Ooh. Dan Kaufman here as well.
And the pride of Team Kaufman.
The legacy of Team Kaufman.
Legacy
Absolutely.
Of Team Kaufman.
I love that one.
Thank you. All right. So any which way you look at it. All right. And in the out of control room today, we have the infamous Mr. Greg Dolan and the lovely Miss Julie Manugian. Welcome. All right. So anyway,
Welcome.
This week we continue our
Money in the Bank showcase.
Our Money in the Bank show. Yes, that's perfect. The Money in the Bank showcase. But first, we are going to introduce to you a brand new segment that we literally just came up with last night. Title is a work in progress, but
It's not that bad right now.
all right. But we like to title it Hills Highs
And Dan's Downers.
Woo! It's kind of a good news, bad news.
Well, let's put it this way. I consider Ken the eternal optimist, and I've always considered myself a glass half empty kind of guy. So why not work to our strengths?
All right. So anyway, basically, I pick out a couple of nice optimistic bits from past week in pro wrestling, whereas you kind of go on to the more seedy side of pro wrestling, the dark side.
In other words, I feel worse for you than myself because you got to look through all the fun little pieces of garbage to find the little nuggets of treasure there.
Ah, yes, the diamonds in the rough.
Well played. So, what have you found today?
All right, so two such diamonds that I found. One was from this past week, a segment on SmackDown, the MITB segment, with The Miz and The New Day. Julie, if you could bring that up for me, please. First one under Hills Highs. There we go. All right, so in this segment, Miz, promised that he was going to reveal which member of the New Day was going to be involved in the Money in the Bank match. Of course, the New Day winning their match against Cesaro and Sheamus the week before, got to have the opportunity to place one member of their team in the Money in the Bank match. Who was it going to be? Miz promised to reveal that. And in this segment, something that I consider to be an underrated strength of Miz is that he has the ability to elevate his talent while at the same time insulting them in true heel fashion. He insults them at the same time, does a lot to help elevate them or rebuild them or push them towards a certain character goal, a certain character-driven storyline. Plant the seeds, if you will. In this case, plant the seeds of doubt. One of the long-standing rumors of 2018 was, okay, if the New Day splits, who stands to rise above the rest? And right now, you're already planting the seeds for three potential storylines. You plant the potential Miz, starting with Kofi Kingston, who's a 6-time competitor in Money in the Bank, has never won the briefcase. Has never won the WWE Championship. He's won the Intercontinental title. He's won the U.S. title. He's won the tag team titles, but always came up short when it came to Money in the Bank. But yeah, he's had 6 opportunities, and he's come up short each time. So maybe he's not the one. Maybe it's Big E. Maybe Big E, who, when he first burst onto the scene from fresh from NXT, had all the power and the speed and the fire. And as we saw during his time with New Day, we see that this man has a tremendous deal of charisma. All right, but someone who hasn't quite put it together because he doesn't take himself as seriously as he should if he wants to realize his full singles potential. Mm-hmm. Then you move over to someone who does take himself very seriously, as Miz pointed out, is Xavier Woods. Someone who's taken his YouTube channel up, down, down, his gaming channel, and turn it into a YouTube phenomenon, a YouTube empire, as Miz put it.
Little thing, I'm also quite an avid gamer, so I'd like to bring up the fact that Kenny Omega and Xavier Woods were actually in a trailer for the debut of Cody in Street Fighter V.
There you go. See, he's already crossing over into video games. Like he's a cross-cultural phenomenon. He has it's an empire, over 1.5 million subscribers.
I'm one of them.
I am too. So Miz did such a great job. I mean, obviously they didn't reveal who it was going to be, but Miz did a great job planting seeds of not only who could potentially be the New Day member in the Money in the Bank match, but also planting the seeds of doubt, of division. Like, okay, down the line, who will split from the New Day to establish themselves in the singles division? Could it be Big E, based on his power and speed and charisma? Could it be based on Xavier, who we've already seen hints of wanting to get into the singles division with his time in the U.S. title tournament and his matches against former champions, in AJ Styles and Jinder Mahal? Or could it be Kofi Kingston, along the long-suffering Kofi Kingston, who's tired of standing in the shadow of the New Day and wants to finally break out on his own and finally break through that ceiling that he should have done nearly 10 years ago? So, again, a lot of potential storylines, and I give kudos to The Miz for really putting that point forward. All right, so another highlight, and this was this came on the news recently. Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre went in a recent interview with in the Ross Report, Jim Ross's podcast. Do you have Drew McIntyre on there? Second one under Hills Highs. Mm-hmm. There we go. All right. So he went on basically to say that, that in order to get ahead in wrestling now, you can't blame creative. You can't be complacent. You can't be, content with where you are in life and just expect everyone else around you to push you towards what you want out of a career. Drew thought that way the first time he was in WWE, even when Vince McMahon of all people was pushing behind him, but no one else was. And what happens? Drew bottomed out big time. Mm-hmm. But then he went away. He matured. He wisened up. He gained that essential experience that he needed. He came back bigger. He came back stronger. But most importantly, he came back smarter, much more aware of how the business works. And in order to get ahead, you have to put yourself front and center. You can't just sit back and let everyone else kind of like pull you towards your goal. He said, okay, stop blaming creative. Stop blaming everyone else for your shortcomings and put yourself at attention. Stop playing video games. Stop wasting time and utilize put yourself at the forefront is what the essential message he tried to put across to the other superstars. And I mean, when discussing who's the leaders in the locker room, I mean, he sees potential, but no one just really stands out because everyone's just content to kind of just do their own thing. And I saw the author's note saying the author thought that Drew would make a great leader. I think he would too.
Absolutely.
I think he certainly has that veteran-like authority. You could certainly say he is a veteran of the locker room. And I think if there's anyone who should be at the forefront, who has the potential to reach greater heights than they did the first time around, I mean, Drew essentially proved that there is a world outside of WWE, but you don't forget where you came from. Drew knows he came from WWE, so when he came back to WWE, he was welcomed with open arms. And when he came back, he was no longer a scared little kid, too nervous to go up to talk to Triple H or Vince McMahon. He approaches them much like any other veteran would, more mature, more sensible as a businessman, because he's made his own business, and now he's bringing that business back to WWE. So I thought a great bit from Drew. I think it sets, and we've seen bits and pieces of this in his alliance with Dolph Ziggler on Raw, and I think it's great. You take that real life notion, that real life aspect of Drew's character, and put it into his on-screen character. Like you take what's in real life and you amp it up by 10, by 11, and that's what we're seeing right now. And so I think it's great.
Awesome.
All right, so now we got the very tippy top right there.
Leave it up there for a sec. Leave it up there. Let's bring it down with a downer. And the first downer is Brock Lesnar. Now, people will say he's been a divisive champion. Divisive. A controversial champion. We say they kept the belt on him. He's now going to beat Punk's record, and he's not even going to defend his title again until SummerSlam. We got more than just Money in the Bank coming up, but no, we're going to have to wait all the way to SummerSlam before we get to see Brock potentially lose the belt.
Till August. So we have to wait another 3 months.
Yep. And imagine if he doesn't lose it then. When will we have to wait again? Another Big Four pay-per-view? Survivor Series?
Or the next time he re-signs with WWE?
I mean, God forbid, who's he going to face again? Roman? The only people he's faced this year is Roman, and a triple threat between Braun Strowman and the Mayor, Kane.
The
mayoral monster.
The mayoral monster, Kane.
And to be perfectly honest, the only good thing about that match was when Braun went a little overboard and Brock just clocked him in the side of the head and told him to slow down.
Slow down, Bubba.
But honestly, who's there to face him? Everyone wants Seth, but Seth's too busy with the IC belt. I don't think that's going to be how it is. So are you going to have to hope that Money in the Bank winner will take it from him? That'd be nice. But until then, all we know is we are still with multiple pay-per-views without our Raw Universal Champion. And that is a big old downer to me.
All right. So we're in that steep decline right here. Mm-hmm. Shh, we're still going down.
Oh yeah, we're gonna hit bottom right here. Woo. Roman Reigns potentially main eventing another pay-per-view. Yeah, let's bottom out right there. Roman versus Jinder
off the rails
has potential to be the main event of Money in the Bank. The stipulation match, which we have 2 of, potentially will not even main event its own named pay-per-view. Nope, instead we get a grudge match between Roman and Jinder. Just like last pay-per-view where we had a grudge match between Roman and Joe. Just like the Greatest Royal Rumble where we had Roman versus Brock. Just like the pay-per-view before that where we had Roman versus Brock. Again, why can we not get away from Roman? Everyone has already said that his character has been murdered due to booking, and no one takes him seriously anymore at WrestleMania. People left early from the previous pay-per-view because of how bored they were. In a Samoa Joe match, Samoa Joe had to make every bit of that match last as long as possible through rest holds just so Roman could get the babyface comeback at the end, and no one cared. And you're going to put him one-on-one in the main event with the failed experiment Jinder Mahal. Do you not remember these pictures of SmackDown having half of their entire chair, their seating, empty, where they had to move people so at least on TV it looked like they had a good amount of people? And you're going to put those 2 in the main event at a pay-per-view.
Never mind, you already have a perfectly good men's Money in the Bank or women's Money in the Bank set up to be the main event. Rather, you put a non-title match that has no long-standing ramifications aside from, a grudge between two overly hyped. Oh, yeah, Michael Cole. That's totally attitude leaking out of Jinder Mahal. That's attitude leaking out. Sure. That's exactly what it is.
The oil off of Jinder's body comes from Roman's hair.
Yeah, that's actually not what I was talking about. But
well, that's a bit nicer for Jinder, I'd say.
Oh yeah, I could go so much worse.
Like, I want to give Jinder the benefit of the doubt, but honestly, he's not main event material.
He's not.
They've pushed him last year for that,
and
it just didn't work.
Why? This is not going to be any different.
It's not.
I mean, the worst part of this is they tried to make Jinder the face. Never mind the man who rallied against America, who is all for the 1.2 billion people of India.
No, he has to be the face because no one's going to ever take Roman as the face.
Okay. Oh, yeah. And people are going to buy Jinder as a face?
Not a chance.
No.
It's just baffling to me, the fact that they keep trying this. And
it's
if they do try
this, they insult everyone's intelligence, that they think we're all children.
Do not forget the one where people said, if Roman wins this Royal Rumble, hashtag cancel the network. Do not keep pushing Roman when everyone is done with Roman. Roman should not be back in the main event. Roman should not be in talks of contention against Brock again. Let him simmer. Let him settle. Bring him back after he's had some time. But no, this is what we're stuck with. Downer.
So true. And we have reached the end of our ride, ladies and gentlemen.
That was such a great old ride.
Okay. All right. Plenty of highs and plenty of lows. So now we come to kind of got to the meat of the issue, the meat of today's episode in our WK sandwich. It's like you said, the Money in the Bank, our latest Money in the Bank showcase. Now, this week's Money in the Bank showcase, we already know who's going to be in the Money in the Bank match. We know who's going to be in the men's match. We know who's going to be in the women's match. But now we're on the inside. We're looking outward. We look at everyone else on the Raw and Smackdown rosters, and we think if they just so happen to put the Money in the Bank briefcase on this man or this woman, like, what's the potential for them? Like, what's the potential outcome? How could they most benefit? Would their career take off? Would their career have a resurgence? Or would it be merely seen as yet another crutch, like with John Cena back in 2012? We pose that question to you, but we have our own. We pose that question to each other. We have the answers right here. We each pick one man from Raw, one woman from Raw, one man from SmackDown, one woman from SmackDown who aren't already in the respective Money in the Bank matches. So now we'll start with moi. All right. So from the Raw side, the women in the women's division, and I know that Julie's ready to chime in on this. All right. So for the Raw side, the woman I went with, who I thought could have the most storyline potential with Money in the Bank, would be Bayley. Simply because the reason Sasha's in the match is that there's the possibility that Sasha could win the briefcase. Bayley could end up winning the Raw Women's Championship. And there's Sasha to backstab her friend yet again. Yet, if Bayley were to somehow win the briefcase and Sasha won the title, you could have potentially a reversal of the same storyline, the same segment, where Sasha wins the championship against all odds, a heroic boss, only for Bayley to get hers back on Sasha by cashing in, stealing the championship, and either creating a heel turn from Bayley, which really wouldn't work, or it could possibly be the trigger for Sasha snapping and turning heel on her best friend. Because here's the thing. I've said this many times over. One of the best aspects of a good, proper heel is that they feel they are justified in what they do. And what would be more justified than losing out on your championship because your friend used Money in the Bank on you? Better yet, Bayley could use it illegitimately like Cena did. Challenge her match next week, and Bayley wins. Legit.
Totally agree.
Legit. Clean. Clean as a whistle.
She is considered the female John Cena.
Exactly. She wins the championship from Sasha. Sasha has another 1 week reign to add to her resume, and that's what makes her snap. There you go. There's your potential right there.
I'm going to agree with that.
All right. So now we look at the men from Raw. Now, who do I feel on the men's side would have that big potential with Money in the Bank? The man who, like I said earlier in the show, already has the big potential with his return. That would be Drew McIntyre. Drew, I mean,
great look.
that is a great look. I mean, like I said, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster. His Claymore kick is, it's a knockout.
Very nice.
Literally. And I mean,
I love that name too, Claymore.
The Claymore. It's destructive. It's explosive. Mm-hmm. You gotta love it. Drew, I mean, he won the NXT title upon his return to WWE. He's aligned himself with Dolph Ziggler, seemingly in sort of a Diesel Shawn Michaels sort of way. And I mean, he's big. He's a big bad dude, just like Diesel. So I don't think it's necessarily an unfair comparison. But
he also went out with an injury. It was pretty quick.
True. But he also healed just as quickly, and now he's back. Like I said, he's strong, he's ready and raring to go. He's on the main roster. And I think that even though, he's already got the potential. From what you say, he's already got the potential. Like, he could already he could put himself into a championship match. But here's the thing. When you have a heavyweight division primarily taken up by the likes of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, you kind of need that opening. You kind of need something to kind of like open the door for you. I mean, say, okay, Roman and Lesnar have another bloody barn burner of a match. Woo. And again, just like with Rollins, here comes McIntyre out of the blue, cashes in, hits a couple of big claymores, and boom, new Universal Champion. Right there, brand new blood in the Universal Championship division, and Drew cements his return to WWE as a true bona fide superstar. So there you go. All right, so now we bring it over to my compadre. Now, who do you feel on the Raw side, from the men's and women's division?
Well, Raw side for the women's. I mean, I've seen this person show up alongside two other women, holding her leader self as a faction, but never going as far as they could. And then they moved to Raw, and nothing's really changed. And she needs something to push herself forward, and I chose Ruby Riott. Now, Ruby has proven herself on the mic. She's proven herself in the ring. She's proven herself to be charismatic enough to keep two women who could go off on their own, but no, they still stick with her as part of the Riott Squad. And yet she has nothing to show for it. All she has was a great match against Charlotte, which in the end was nothing more than a stepping stone towards Charlotte and Asuka at Mania.
And then we saw shades, and I see where you're going with this. You saw shades of the potential she had in the gauntlet match.
Absolutely. She showed more vigor, and she lasted longer than anyone else to lose to Sasha in the end. She got the hero treatment of surviving until the last person to take the opportunity and cash in. Right. Go figure. So why not? I mean, when's the last time we got to see someone with the Money in the Bank and then have two people buy her back to make sure that she'll win when she cashes in? Technically Ziggler, but he didn't use them.
Right.
So why not? You could have that happen. Hell, have her win the women's. The moment Asuka beats Carmella, have her cash in. Goes right back to SmackDown, champion.
Well, they made it clear that, I mean, I know we are going with that, but they made it clear last week that whoever wins the briefcase would only be able to challenge for their respective championship.
Okay, have her beat Ronda. I mean, that is the ultimate heel heat. Beat Ronda the moment she gets her championship. I mean, hell, you can do so many things with a group of 3 because the numbers game will always win. Unless you're going up against John Cena or Roman Reigns. The numbers will always win.
Right. You have to have the Riot Squad mean something.
Yes. Get them away from being,
What
was it, Absolution 2.0? I mean, Absolution's dead. Let them shine.
Let them flourish.
Now, as for the men's, I thought about Drew. But, like you said, I consider him a main event already. I can see him up there taking down Roman Reigns. I absolutely can. So then it fell to 3. I thought maybe Elias, but Elias has his spot. I wanted to go with my heart and say Sammy, because I feel he could absolutely flourish with that and storylines with Kevin Owens right there. But there's one person who, ever since he showed up, has struggled, and he has not found his footing, and the person I chose is Bobby Lashley. Bobby. Oh, poor old Bobby.
Should be on there. There you go.
Oh, Bobby. You are physically intimidating. You have an MMA record that can be marveled at. You come back pretty impressively with your vertical suplex.
He made his mark in Impact Wrestling. He found, I think the best way to put it, he found himself in Impact Wrestling.
The walking Armageddon.
Exactly, the walking Armageddon. That was a perfect. And I mean, the spear, just like with Reigns or Goldberg, end the match.
Yep.
Just like that. Like he turned people inside out. He dominated for the better part of 2 years.
And then he comes back, and then they say you can't use the spear because that's Roman's move.
Yeah, and then apparently it took him about 2 months before they realized, oh yeah, he can use the Dominator because Ron Simmons isn't around.
Yep. So he comes back, very impressive, and then the next week, and then the week after that, and the week after that, he's teaming with Braun.
And we're getting a segment about him loving his sisters.
I kept saying on the show, go back to previous ones, you can catch me saying, let's wait until he has a singles feud. Let's wait until he has something for himself. And they gave him Bobby's sisters.
And let's not forget Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn did his best. He absolutely tried.
He did.
But you know what? So did Alexa with Bayley, This Is Your Life.
And look how that turned out.
So did Gallows and Anderson with The Old Day.
Oh, and Dr. Gallows and Doctor.
Bobby, you need something, anything to get you out of this rut. So hear me out. Win the Money in the Bank, and then every time there is a world championship match or the champion shows up to do anything, stand at the top of the ramp. Never say a word. You just stand there letting him know that you're always watching. You don't need to say anything. The moment everyone sees you, they remember he has Money in the Bank. He's waiting for his moment. He's getting in your head. Not a single word ever needs to be uttered out of your mouth. And yet they know that for them, you are their walking Armageddon. Done. There's your whole thing. We haven't had that. That's fresh. Why do we book better than you, WWE? You're the moneymakers.
I've been asking myself that question for 4 long, agonizing years. It boggles the mind, but then again, creative. I guess according to Drew, we shouldn't blame creative, should we? Should we blame creative for stagnating Raw? Should we blame creative for coming up with lame jokes and toilet humor on SmackDown? Should we blame them for not taking pay-per-views as seriously as television? Oh yeah, worry about the TV. Worry about the future. The future is television. Let's not worry about the specials anymore. We're worried about TV. We're worried about ratings. How's that proposal coming along, WWE? How are those ratings coming along? Because you had to have a primetime network pick you up because you couldn't do anything more avant-garde with your product. You had to go and try and reinvent the wheel by propositioning Fox.
Pretty sure their last Raw had like the worst, like the second worst ratings since like 2016 or something like that. I think it shows. Bobby's sisters, my God. All right, let's move on.
Moving on.
SmackDown's actually been doing well. So let's see what we have to say about SmackDown.
So over on SmackDown, certainly on the men's
Moving
side.
on.
Moving on.
We got it.
Moving on.
Let's move on with let's move on. Let's move on with the moving on, please.
Moving on.
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 I know.
Moving on.
I can get back with them too.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Okay.
Thank
so,
you.
On SmackDown.
On SmackDown,
The women.
certainly, well, on the men's side, actually. Let's start with the men. Actually, no, let's start with the women's side. The women's side is a little more narrow. Like, okay, they're not as focused on, I mean, they pretty much got the crux of the women's division in the Money in the Bank match. You have Asuka challenging for the women's championship. You have Naomi, Lana, Naomi, I almost said Naomi twice, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte representing SmackDown in the women's title match. Doesn't leave a whole lot of potential there. So I mean, on the SmackDown women's side, you have, outside of the Money in the Bank match, you have the former members of Absolution. You have Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. You have the Iconics, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. You also have Tamina. And technically, even though she hasn't been on the SmackDown since the Royal Rumble, Nikki Bella.
Isn't Maria Kanellis technically?
Yeah, and technically
Maurice.
And Maurice. But number of them valets or really haven't had a presence in 2018. So you have to discount a number of them.
Yep.
So this kind of narrows things down. Essentially, my choice is to go for SmackDown women's side, potential is Mandy Rose. Mandy, as they've been sort of, basically what we found out about Mandy is that this is what Emelina would have ended up as. Last year, we all know the Emelina angle never went anywhere. It was a whole lot of nothing. And then when Emma turned the angle down, and then they decided to take that and kind of rework it and make it Mandy's gimmick. So now this is essentially like the golden lights, the fantastic, smooth, silky entrance. That this is all Mandy's now, and it works for her. Mm-hmm. Like she makes it work. She's smooth. She's seductive. She's sexy. The essential 3 S's right there. And oh God, I'm sounding like Corey Graves. Oh, good grief. All right, so basically, it's worked. It's worked for Mandy. She's getting more and more over. They've given her own intros. They've given her own little segments. Her own entrance now. She's looking every bit the potential female, the essential female superstar. She's like, and she's even getting little by little. She's getting better in the ring. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Trish Stratus at the beginning. More or less eye candy, but as she went on, little by little, molded herself into the perfect female force in WWE. She ended up being a 7-time women's champion.
True.
Now, would I say that would happen for Mandy?
Not with the breed of women that we have now.
Right. Breed.
Yeah, Charlotte.
True.
Right for perfection.
Right. True. All right. So Mandy does have that potential, though. She does have a lot of great potential, and I think having Sonya, even maybe having Sonya backing her, the Money in the Bank could really be a good launching point for Mandy if she were to win said briefcase.
Yeah.
All right. Over on the men's side, though, there's certainly a lot more room here for potential. A veteran in WWE, someone who I really think could have serve as a great relaunch point for them if they were to break off from his tag team partner, would be Cesaro, the Swiss cyborg, aka the Swiss Superman, aka Claudio Castagnoli, aka Swiss Death. AKA pound for pound, the strongest man in WWE today. Next to Seth Rollins. I mean, both of them.
How many people have been saying they wanted Cesaro versus Brock?
Ooh, so much. I mean, even all the way back in 2014 when Brock broke the Undertaker's streak. One of the first feuds that came up, the first potential feuds, Cesaro versus Brock. Former Heyman guys. There you go. Never happened. I mean, Cesaro, now he's on SmackDown. He no longer has to worry about a clogged heavyweight championship scene with Roman and Brock. Now he has a wide open plateau for the WWE Championship. You got the likes of Miz, you got the like of AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Shinsuke Nakamura. Could you imagine how stiff and brutal a match between Cesaro and Shinsuke could be? The king of swing versus the king of strong style.
That'd be very nice.
Woofa.
It'd give Sheamus a chance to take it easy, heal, recover, because he has health issues. He's had them for a while with his spine.
Right. It would be a perfectly good reason for Cesaro to step away from Sheamus. Like I said, give Sheamus time to heal, to take some time off. Let Cesaro get back to his singles roots, win Money in the Bank, and then really tear it up by winning the WWE Championship. Perhaps plucking it from a Daniel Bryan, or simply going full bore into a match with Styles or Shinsuke. I mean, there's so much potential for fantastic matches with any number on the SmackDown
There
roster.
are so many good singles. Can you imagine if he actually won and his first match was Samoa Joe?
Could you imagine? I mean, the sharpshooter versus the Coquina Clutch.
That's great stuff.
The Muscle Buster versus the Neutralizer.
Ooh, I like that.
They got some great potential here with Cesaro. I mean, it's been talked about for years. Cesaro is always on that cusp of breaking out and becoming the next great superstar, next great main event talent.
All right. So, from my side, starting with the women, we were talking about the fact that it's pretty thin on SmackDown. You went with Mandy Rose of former Absolution, and I went with her partner, Sonya Deville. Now, I see Sonya Deville. She comes out. She does the Steve Blackman thing. She shadow boxes. I can see her because NXT's got Shayna Baszler. Raw's got Ronda Rousey. Why not have her be the SmackDown's MMA fighter and imposing force?
There you go.
You really don't need much else. She has the credentials. She has the physical ability. All you need is to let her loose. I mean, she's getting better. That's what you could say about any woman. She gets better all the time. She needs more time to get better. And, you know, when you have a friend, you always use a friend. And sure, they're both heels. If you want to turn Mandy face, have Sonya use her to become the champ. And then turn her back saying she didn't need her. That way you could have the imposing force and the heel heat.
There you go.
I mean, if they wanted Emelina as a face, or if they wanted her to be as high up there as they can be, you do it with a heel turn betrayal. That's how I see it. You know, there's not much else you can really say. Sonya's got what it takes. She just needs to be able to act on it. Let her get the Money in the Bank. Let her cash it in. Let her show what she's got.
So true.
Now, as for the men's, At first, I was going to say Ty, because Ty came up with so much momentum. He had the 10 going, and it was great, and then he kept losing. His 10 went to a 0. He was a failed NXT call-up. There's plenty of them. But who's to say we can't save another one? My pick is Andrade Cien Almas. Brand new. Selena Vega was a great mouthpiece. He was the last NXT champion before Aleister Black. He beat Drew. Drew, who is this giant of a man. But this guy had the technical ability. This guy holds a 5-star match from Dave Meltzer in WWE. It's been a while. He is the first 5-star match since CM Punk and John Cena at Money in the Bank.
2011.
And we're talking about Money in the Bank now. Andrade has come up to SmackDown, and he's gotten squash matches. I mean, great for him. He gets to show what he can do. But you know what? Anyone who has not watched NXT does not know who Andrade is. And when you have people who do not understand what you are and what you are capable of, and all you're doing is giving him squash matches against people who you know cannot beat him, what's that say about you? It says that, oh, that's interesting, cool. Are you going to do anything with him?
Well, it also says they're keeping him in a holding pattern until they can properly set up a feud for him.
I know. And it seems like they're going to go with Sin Cara first. And that could
Why not?
work. It could. But you know what? I remember Rey Mysterio. I remember Alberto Del Rio. I remember those two as champions. And you know what? They didn't do anything with them. Rey Mysterio constantly got squashed over and over again by bigger guys. Alberto Del Rio is remembered as cashing in and taking away CM Punk's title.
C.
Andrade Cien Almas has taken away Drew McIntyre's, and then he lost to Aleister Black, and now he's on SmackDown. Alberto Del Rio is remembered for being let go from WWE twice.
And smacking a backstage hand.
Alberto Del Rio is known for being with Paige. Not a lot of people want to remember Alberto Del Rio, so why not have a new Latino star? Let him be the opportunistic one. Let him be the one to let Selena Vega carry his briefcase because he is too important to have to carry it. Let him be the suave guy that we've seen before. The one who can enjoy parties but never lets it get in the way of what his goals are.
Winning championships and making dinero.
Exactly.
Making money.
And hey, have him be a champ long enough, have Rey come back. Andrade Cien Almas versus Rey Mysterio. I would love to see that match. And you know what? It would finally let people know what Andrade is capable of.
So true. So true.
Save the NXT call-ups. Save them. Do not let them fall.
That's hey, there's a fundraising idea right there. Save the NXT call-ups. Save the NXT call-ups. Save the whales.
How many times do you honestly think there are people who are called up from NXT and they just go, can I stay? I do better here. I'm scared for Johnny. He's had 2 5-star matches.
Not Johnny.
He's had great feuds with Tommaso Ciampa. What happens if he gets called up before Tommaso?
But Johnny be good.
Johnny be good. Johnny is Johnny Wrestling. But this isn't wrestling. This is sports entertainment. The moment Johnny goes up and he's in Vince's hands, save Andrade. Show that NXT is capable of more
In other words,
when they come up.
put Triple H in charge.
Yes. There you go.
All right.
So that's what we got for our potential people.
Our Money in the Bank feature. Now, before we sign off, we want to send a special congratulations out to the soon-to-be Mr. and Mrs. J. Warren. I'm talking, of course, about my former co-host, Julian Warren. He's getting married tomorrow in Brockton. I want to send both of them my esteemed congratulations on behalf of myself, on Dan, and everyone here at Wrestling Connection and Bedford TV. And in honor of the lovely couple,
We
and
have
apparently Solid Snake.
apparently Solid Snake. We are very surprised about this.
Yes. We want to have we want to bring back the one, the only, the Love Connection. So on this week's The Love Connection, baby, Dan actually had a very pertinent question in mind, and I will hand it over to him.
So when we were discussing about the whole wrestling thing and the fact that Julian's getting married tomorrow, we kind of were joking about how much wrestling would be a part of his wedding. And then we realized we're two wrestling nuts ourselves. So imagine you got the girl of your dreams. I mean, I already do, but she likes wrestling. She does not love wrestling. Imagine you get the girl of your dreams. She doesn't love wrestling. She enjoys wrestling. She might tolerate wrestling. And, you know, our families probably aren't as big of wrestling nuts as ours. So,
I know that for certain.
we get the people that we wanted the most. We get our wedding. Would we have wrestling themes in our wedding?
Well, I've seen and the Love Guru is in. I've seen several weddings with wrestling fans. I mean, features the grooms coming down to entrance music. Maybe like they're dressed up as their favorite wrestlers. Like I've seen guys come down dressed up as Hogan or Macho Man. So it's not entirely it's not unprecedented, of course. Now, here's the thing: if your family and friends, and most importantly your bride, is tolerant of it, I would hope that maybe they allow maybe like one or two like little wrestling themed bits, like maybe like the music or like coming down like dressed a certain way, like Macho Man from his wedding with Miss Elizabeth, something along those lines. Now, like go whole hog with it, like I don't know how have it like in a wrestling ring or have the wedding at I don't know Madison Square Garden or something.
I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may
now-
now clothesline each other.
You may now put her through the table. I think there's like a certain limit. I think you kind of like have to set some boundaries right here. Okay, like you can change one or two things. You can have like theme music. You can like come down, like maybe like dress dress up in like wrestling regalia. But you can't go the whole 9 yards here. So like do it, but do it with taste is what I'm saying. Like
So would you have wrestling themes in your wedding?
I would. Like honestly, I don't know. I'm trying to think what music I would come down to. I always wonder that. Like
Cult of personality.
cult of- if I didn't want to get booed out.
Fine.
If I wanted the wedding to go 2 minutes. Ouch.
Just come out with a feather boa. I am a real American.
American.
Hey, it's either that or American males.
I think that's kind of where we'd have to draw that proverbial line in the sand right there.
I would worry that they might try coming out to Finn Balor, just popping out of smoke that he lets come down the aisle.
And then every time you reach your hands up, the cake lights up. Whoosh, whoosh. Yeah, but anyway,
we have fun with this.
Exactly. See, yeah, do it, but do it with taste. Do it, but keep your family and friends in mind. This is just as much a memory for them and your blushing bride as it is for you. Yeah. Obviously, part of a wedding, part of matrimony is compromise, and that will be the first big step. Is like as long as you keep everything within a certain boundary, they will let you do what you want to do.
So for me, I'm going to give you some information about myself. I have 5 things that are important to me: video games, anime, music, wrestling, and the one thing that stems above all of it, family.
What about your girlfriend?
I consider her family.
Aww.
So, would I have wrestling in my wedding? No.
Wow.
It'd be nice, but you know what? That's why family stems more important to me. I would go tradition. I would give my family a wedding that they would appreciate more than something that I would appreciate, because if they enjoy it, I enjoy it.
I respect that. I mean, sounds boring as all get out, but I respect that.
That's what it is.
All right.
So best of luck tomorrow, Julian. Absolutely.
I'll see you there, and I'll have my character in tow for you, good sir. All right. So again, congrats to Julian on the impending nuptials.
And congratulations to us for finishing this episode of the Wrestling Connection.
Yay! All right. So anyway, we're just gonna continue. We're just going on down the line right here. We still got a few weeks left until Money in the Bank. So we'll bring you a surprise Money in the Bank feature. We won't tell you what it is until next week. You'll have to stay tuned and find out. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and of course, remember to check out our big website, thewrestlingconnection.com. But in the meantime, folks, remember, as always, to be connected,
Get connected.
stay connected, and stay loved. For Dan Kaufman, for Julie Manugian, for everyone at Bedford TV and the Wrestling Connection, have a safe and happy weekend.
Play us off, Kermit.
I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's some things that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the Wrestling Connection. The lovers, the dreamers, and me. Love